See, I told you I'd get an intro for it. Welcome into post OTA version of Black and Gold Breakdown. Happy to have you all in. So yeah, day 6 of Steelers OTAs was today. A lot to get into from at least what I saw firsthand. But if you're clicking on the video on YouTube, first of all, if you're not subscribed already, go do all that YouTube stuff. Make sure you subscribe for daily Steelers shows as well as the general NFL content. If this is your type of beat, absolutely make sure you're subscribed and all that. But yeah, if you're clicking on the video, you see what we're going to be leading off with, and that's Justin Fields, because he looked really good today, and that is it should be music to everybody's ears in terms of what his progression looks like. He had several plays. Well, first of all, let me say this. Everybody just seemed really energetic today, and that was awesome. Guys just seemed genuinely happy to be there. They were in a good mood. During team drills, the offense and defense were both kind of chirping at each other and just, going back and forth. It was just a fun day and a fun practice to be at. So that was really cool to be part of, really cool to see. Just all that come together. Najee Harris, I remember during team drills, he broke off a run and he was laughing down the sideline. So just little stuff like that where guys are clearly just in a good mood, happy to be there. It makes the day overall just really fun to be part of. But in terms of Justin Fields, there were a few plays in mind that stuck out. And if you read my report on it over at Behind the Steel Curtain, thank you for doing that. But if you haven't and you're here, in terms of the ones that really stuck out, he made a really nice throw to Darnell Washington over the middle of the field in 7-on-7s. He just looked good all day in terms of his ball placement. And I talked about it last week, but he's letting things develop. And again, I take it with a grain of salt because it is OTAs and they're not in pads, and I completely understand that. But even then, when they're going through, especially in team drills, when they're going through these plays, I mean, it's still full speed. You can kind of time and see okay, that would have been a sack. Okay, he would have had to throw it away there, or the play wouldn't have lasted that long. But so you can get a good feel for what the play is going to look like in real time if there's pads and if there was, contact and hitting involved. And in those situations, he's not looking to just if his first or second read isn't there, he's not looking to take off. He's letting things develop and he's being patient, and that's good. Especially when, one of the bigger criticisms of Fields has been his ability to process and, maybe being a little bit too trigger happy when it comes to running. Now, it's not to say that he's not going to run, because obviously he is very good at doing that, and they're not going to dissuade him from doing that. But it does seem evident that they are trying to, have him be a little bit more patient, see the play through, and make his way through his reads. And he seems to be doing a better job at that, at least again in OTAs, in these organized team workouts. So again, had a nice throw to Darnell Washington. He made a play in the in red zone team drills where he was fading back, scrambling backwards, just shimmying and dodging everybody from touching him or making contact with him. And then he ran forward, did a jump throw to Darnell Washington, and that drove everybody on the sideline was going absolutely bananas. And then he had another play in which he found Michael Pruitt in the back of the end zone, and it was a dart in the back middle part of the end zone. So Justin Fields looked really good all day. I talked to him after practice one-on-one, just asked him, how, day 6 compares to day 1 in terms of, just how far he's come in a week. And he said, I'm getting comfortable every day, getting more and more acquainted with the offense and just more comfortable with everything that I'm doing. And you can see that on the field too. Even from last Thursday to today, there's clear differences in terms of, okay, he's starting to get it. And that's good. And I also asked him about the rapport that he seems to be generating with Darnell Washington, and he raved about Darnell. I was saying there's not too many guys that are 6'7", 6'8" who can move like Darnell can, who can make the type of plays and run the type of routes that Darnell can. Said that he reminds him a lot of Jimmy Graham, which I thought was a very nice comparison from his end. So Fields looked good, and again, seems to have a nice rapport going with Darnell Washington. And like I said, I understand that it is, OTAs, they're throwing without pads and all of that. Take it with a grain of salt. I totally get it. However, there are things, that's what OTAs are for, is to, guys who are, maybe on new teams, guys going into new systems, to first get acquainted with their new team, new system, and to get better at the things that they might not be as good at as what they would like to be. And Fields has looked really nice throughout this process, and Thursday was probably his best day in terms of his performance. So he's getting better, which is good. And now, during the first day of OTAs, there was a big media crowd around his locker, and somebody had asked, how he feels, competing against Justin Fields, and he basically said, I'm here to compete. I don't plan on sitting on the bench all year, and Russ knows that. And we're going to push each other, and we're going to make each other better. And right now, he's very much showing that he is here to compete, and he looks very good in doing so. So I'm looking forward to continue to see what Justin Fields does on the field. They are done with OTAs for this week. They'll have one more OTA session next week, and then 3 days of mini camp in the middle of June, and then they go away for a month, and then we will next see them in Latrobe for training camp. So 6 more organized team activities in some way, shape, or form. Again, next week is all voluntary, but mandatory minicamp will take place in the middle of June. And so we have a little bit more to see from these guys until they go to training camp. So I'll be at another session of OTAs next week, and I will be at 1 day of minicamp. So you'll get a couple more shows of these before they go away for a little bit for camp. Other things that I saw, and again, I wrote about all of this over at Behind the Steel Curtain, so you can go read all this too if you tune in later or anything like that. Mason McCormick, the rookie guard out of South Dakota State, he confirmed to me that he's been working out both at right guard and left guard. When I asked him about it, he's like, I'm going to play wherever they need me to play. I'm going to play whenever they need me to play. He just went into it with a really positive attitude, and I really appreciated that from him. I asked him, what it's been like, over these few weeks learning under the tutelage of James Daniels and Isaac Seumalo. He raved about both of them, saying that both of them have been, the veteran presences and the leaders that, he needs and would have wanted coming into the league. So the fact that the Steelers have made it known that they aren't going to extend James Daniels, my best guess is that they're going to, give Mason McCormick a year to grow and learn behind Daniels and Seumalo, and then come 2025, when James Daniels presumably signs elsewhere, they're going to slide Mason McCormick into that starting role. So he's going into it with a very open mind, and I love that attitude that he has. And we're gonna see what the next year or so brings with the offensive line. But again, McCormick playing at both right and left guard throughout OTAs, and today in particular, I asked him about playing on both sides. He's very open, just saying, look, I will play wherever they need me to play. I'll play whenever they need me to play. I just want to help this team win, and that's as good an attitude as you can have from a 4th round rookie. So that was another note. What else? I was talking to Dante Jackson, the cornerback, and asked him, what it was like for him being a veteran amongst younger cornerbacks. Because it's a young room. We've talked about it on this channel before, and I've written a lot about it, where, Joey Porter is his 2nd year, Beanie Bishop's a rookie, Darius Rush is in his 2nd year, Josiah Scott is a younger guy. And, I asked him, was like, what's it like? He's like, I want to, it's my job to kind of uphold that standard and, be that leader. And I think he'd said, what was the exact quote that he had said? He's like, the room definitely keeps me on my toes because I want to be able, to, if they have questions, I want to be able to be alert, be guys that they can come to. and just they keep me on my toes, so because I got to be alert and I got to do the things that the organization expects me to do. So he's gone about the leadership role in a really good way. And in terms of just the cornerback room as a whole, man, like they continue to play well. Darius Rush had a nice day. He had a pass breakup during team drills. Beanie Bishop has had a nice stretch of OTAs. So this cornerback room is really coming into its own, and Dante Jackson has really taken on that role of being the vet leader. And guys have really raved about him. Darius Rush in specific last week told me like, "Hey, we know that we can go to Dante if we need anything." So there was a play during team drills where I don't know if it was on purpose or not, but Dante gave Calvin Austin a little bit of a pop, and it drew like audible response from both the offense and defense. Everything was okay, like nothing happened. But I asked Dante about it because he's like, "Yeah, we're ready, we're competitive." I was like, "Yeah, you seem competitive. You gave Calvin Austin a little bit of a pop." And Scotty Miller, who has a locker right next to Dante Jackson, heard it. He just started chuckling. He turned around. He's like, "He's such a dirty player, isn't he?" And those two started laughing with one another. And I had asked Dante, how's it, getting used to being in Pittsburgh rather than Carolina? Because obviously he was traded from Carolina to Pittsburgh. And he gave, just a, nothing of like notable answer. He said, I've enjoyed being here. I feel like, we're going to do a lot of really good things here. And, I'm excited for, what the future holds. Just, an answer like that. And, Scotty Miller being a new Steeler as well. I just kind of looked over at him. I was like, "Scotty, do you second that?" And he was like, "Honestly, bro, I didn't hear what Dante said, but I assume it was pretty good shit. So yeah, I agree 100%. So Scotty Miller, man, is winning me over. He is hilarious. Really enjoy talking to him and Dante Jackson. So there's a lot of fun stuff going on. And again, energy. That was the big word of the day for me. It was just energy. Like everybody just seemed happy to be there, enjoying one another, enjoying just being, doing football and doing it together. And that was the biggest takeaway for me today. Is it was an energetic practice, and that was really nice to see. But yeah, Scotty Miller, hilarious. He cracks me up. So I am now a Scotty Miller fan, which wasn't necessarily like I wasn't like a Scotty Miller like anti Scotty Miller, but he's a funny dude. Cameron Johnston, the new punter, he was booting balls today. They were doing punt coverage, just kind of walking through that. And Cameron Johnston just consistently, like he had a punt where they were punting from probably like the opposite 5, and he kicked it to the other end zone. Like dude was booting balls, man. He looks really good. I talked to him for a brief second after practice. I'm not going to try to do an Australian accent. But he's like, "Yeah, I'm enjoying being here in Pittsburgh. Family, we're based in Columbus, so it's not too far." He noted that, if he was in Houston right now, it would be much hotter. So he was enjoying the Pittsburgh weather. It was a really nice day in Pittsburgh, by the way, today. It was like 63, sunny, nice breeze. It was perfect weather. So yeah, Cam Johnson, new punter, looks terrific. Who else? I wanted to talk to Kyle Allen about just to see if he would give me any sort of comparison between the Arthur Smith offense and the offense that he was in Buffalo with Joe Brady and Ken Dorsey, Brian Dable, like all of those other offenses, and how they compare to Arthur Smith's. So I'm going to do like a quick write-up on that, just because he gave me something good about it. Basically just saying, yeah, it's there's a lot of heavier personnel with Arthur, and it's obviously still early, so you don't know the completeness of the offense quite yet. But gave me a nice little compare and contrast of the offense with Buffalo compared to what it is with Pittsburgh. Trying to think, did I leave anything out? I don't think I did. I think I touched on everything I needed to touch on. I talked to Anthony Averett briefly, another veteran cornerback. Actually, asked him a similar question to Dante Jackson, where I was like, "Hey, you're one of the older guys in the room. How are you embracing that role?" He just seems excited to be back, playing football. He dealt with some injuries last year. He was bounced around practice squad, so he just seems to be happy to be in Pittsburgh. Happy to be, back doing football activity. So Anthony Averett's a guy that, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on in terms of this cornerback room and seeing where he lands as the offseason continues. But yeah, and if you're just joining us, the big story of the day, Justin Fields had a really nice day, man. And that's terrific news because, again, on day one, he very respectfully and humbly said, like, look, man, I'm here to compete. I don't plan on just sitting on the bench all year. That's not why I came here and why I wanted to come here. And he's like, Russ knows I'm here to compete and we're going to make each other better every day. And he really backed that up today with the way that he played. Made a lot of really nice throws. He threw one to Marquez Callaway in like the front pylon of the end zone. He was off platform, sidearmed it, hit Marquez Callaway right in the chest. He bobbled it. It looked like he caught it. The ref ruled incomplete. Pat Frymuth like raced over. He's like, he caught it. Like, by the way, Pat Frymuth was very energetic today as well. So he was just on one today, and he played very, very well. And again, from day one to now, I mean, even then you can see the differences in terms of, just him being patient with the reads and whatnot, seeing the play through rather than just being like, okay, 1, 2, nothing's there, I'm going to run. Like, I think that's been a big emphasis for the Steelers is just making sure that Justin, gets through the play, doesn't freak out, doesn't panic, just, trust what you see, get through the reads. And then if nothing's there, take off. I think that's been something that they've really hammered on is just getting him comfortable in the pocket, getting him comfortable with getting through his reads and doing so quicker. And if he keeps looking like this, man, like, a lot of people on the beat were like, no, this is a legitimate competition between Russ and Fields. And, if he continues doing this, then yeah, there's definitely going to be some truth behind that because he had a terrific day. All right. A lot of you have comments. I just wanted to, set aside the first 20 minutes for me to at least get through, my thoughts and what I saw today, who I talked to today. So we'll dive into your comments. DLW Fields obviously has things to work on, but what if he's actually not nearly as bad as people make him out to be because of the Bears didn't have? Yeah, that was another thing. He was in a bad offense with not a lot of weapons. I understand he got DJ Moore last year. And by the way, when he got DJ Moore last year, he had consecutive games of 4 touchdown passes. Was against Denver and Washington, consecutive games, he threw 4 touchdowns. And he looked really good doing it. So, there was clearly something that was getting unlocked, and then he got hurt. So, yeah, I think that there's obviously a ton of talent, a lot of athleticism with Justin Fields. We're going to see what happens. Hi, Daryl. Thanks for tuning in. Concepts, Fields talk. Russ spoke highly of him today. Yeah, no. Each of these guys have really talked nicely about one another. Like, they understand that this is a business and that they're competing with one another, but at the same time, there's a lot of mutual respect there, and they understand what they're getting into in terms of, hey, Justin's going to compete, Russ is going to compete. Like, that's what they're here to do. But at the same time, they're going to, try to build each other up. So that's been it's been a nice development throughout all this. Victor. People who think Fields is bad don't understand so much goes into the offense other than just the quarterback. Give that dude talent around him like we will. In a competent system, he will look different. I think that the Arthur Smith system fits him like a glove. Louis Riddick was talking about that on NFL Live, saying like, look, if the Steelers do decide at some point to go to Justin Fields, like, this is going to be a new look offense, and it's going to be a new look Justin Fields because he's, going to be in an offense that really leans into what he does well. So, Rusty, Fields is going to be an NFL MVP. Whoa! That's quite the statement. Zero Help in Chicago. Goofball saying Fields is trash. Didn't watch it. Yeah, Justin Fields isn't trash. He's a very athletic, competent quarterback with obviously a higher ceiling than most because of how athletic he is. Things, there's, again, things that he needs to work on, protecting the ball better when running, sure, and getting better at processing. But yeah, no, he's terrific. I don't know if I'd go NFL MVP, but I think that I think in this system especially, he can be good. Why wouldn't they negotiate with James Daniels? He's young and talented. Is due to his contract value next year. Yeah, like, he's going to cost a lot of money next year. This is the last year of his deal. that's why they drafted Mason McCormick, is because, hey, James Daniels is going to cost a lot of money. Let's just get a guy who we think can be a good NFL starter in-house a year early. Have him groomed under James Daniels and Isaac Samala for a year, and then 2025 comes along, we'll slide him in to the starting lineup and wish James Daniels well. James Daniels is going to get a bag next year. He's a good guard. Robert Hunt just got a ton of money, and he's older, I believe, than James Daniels is. So, James Daniels is going to get a lot of money because he's a good guard. But the Steelers, again, this is a business. James Daniels is going to play his ass off this year. I have no doubts about that. But when the time comes, there's going to be a team that gives him a ton of money. And the Steelers just said, hey, we're going to get somebody on a rookie deal that's going to be cheaper, who we think can be very good, and just slide him in rather than pay a lot of money. Not a personal thing, just it's a business thing. Dante Jackson's going to be a great CB2 and is great veteran to influence for Joey Porter Jr. Yeah, and I asked Dante about like the similarities in this situation with Pittsburgh compared to being in Carolina with J.C. Horn. I mean, it is very similar. Both guys who were, highly drafted, both guys who are physically talented, both guys who, had fathers in the league for a very long time. And that's what, Dante said. Like, these are two dudes that come from football, who love football. Both their dads were in the league for a very long time. They're both very gifted. So he sees a lot of similarities in terms of, how he helped J.C. Horn along to how he wants to help Joey Porter Jr. along. Yes, Bill Burr. Oh, I forgot to ask him if he'd seen the memes. That was one thing. Now I'm mad at myself. I forgot to ask Cam Johnston if he'd seen the Bill Burr memes. I'm sure he has. Justin Fields on a well-coached team, line, and people who catch the ball, except for DJ. Just watch. They're going to forget he can run. Look, I still think they're going to try to take full advantage of his ability to run. But don't forget that, I mean, he can throw a damn good deep ball. And that's another thing that this offense is going to really lean into, is the play-action deep balls. Both he and Russ can do that. And if and when the time comes when he's starting games, I look forward to seeing what Justin can do in the offense. DJ Moore had a career year with Fields. Ryan Poles is a bum and needs to be fired for trading him. I'm starting to think Rusty is a Bears fan who really likes Justin Fields. Let me look at DJ Moore's numbers, because I don't think they were quite as good as they were in Carolina. And again, Justin Fields got hurt, and it was, Tyson Bagent thrown in there. Oh, he has career high in receptions last year. So even with, a Tyson Bagent, now granted, they had nobody else to throw to, but yeah, DJ Moore had a nice year last year. And again, they had that ginormous game against the Commanders together, where I think DJ Moore had 3 touchdowns, 3 of the 4 from Fields. So they were building a chemistry, and then unfortunately Justin got hurt. So it's just one of those things, man, where a lot of that was out of his control. But that's football sometimes, unfortunately. Rob, loving your content. What is your background, your connection to the Steelers? Tell us about you. Look, man. Well, first of all, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for watching. In terms of me, I don't know how many other people tune in to hear about me, but since you asked, I'll give you a brief background. Grew up in Pennsylvania, went to Slippery Rock University, and now I'm here. Grew up a Steelers fan. The first game I remember watching, like from beginning to end, was Steelers Browns 2004, week 5, I believe it was. And we had the game. My mom taped the game on VHS because my dad was at work, and so when my dad got home, I watched the game twice that day. And then we kept the VHS. Like, we had a ton of VHSs that we just saved of like old games. And I've probably seen that game 30 or 40 times. So yeah, grew up a Steelers fan, was kind of born into it. And man, that's, a little bit about me. This is all and again, a lot of people have ideas of what they want to do for a job. I'm grateful, and I don't like using the word lucky because that implies that I didn't work for it, but I'm very happy and thankful to be able to do the only thing I've ever wanted to do for a job. So I appreciate everybody for watching the content, reading the content, and helping me do. Like, genuinely, that does mean a lot. So thank you. Appreciate your insights. Good to hear the behind the scenes. Seems like the mentality of the team is on point. Mentality of the team is really good, man. Like, even just being in the locker room, like seeing how these guys interact with one another. This is a team that's going to be tight knit. I talked to Des Fitzpatrick, one of the receivers. He's been on the practice squad for a couple years. And he's like, look, man, we're a tight knit group, in terms of the receivers. Like, we understand it's a business, but at the end of the day, like, we want what's best for each other. And I think that spreads throughout the locker room in terms of how they feel about one another. So this is it feels like a tight knit. Even the new guys, like I said, Dante Jackson and Scotty Miller have been teammates for 3 weeks, and they are being locker room neighbors and already joking around with one another. Like Scotty intervening in conversations with me and Dante and just being like a goof, like stuff like that, man. Like is it's good for the locker room, and it's really good to see. They need to let Daniels walk so they can afford Oh, goodness gracious. Here we go. I knew we couldn't get through one show without this. DJ had a career year in yards and touchdowns. I was like, yeah, no, DJ Moore I didn't realize, maybe I just didn't pay enough attention to the Bears last year. But yeah, DJ Moore. DJ Moore's been so underrated throughout his entire career. I'm a big DJ Moore guy. Big DJ Moore guy. But yeah, this is going to be a very tight knit group. At least that's what it seems like on the surface. There's a lot of drama, obviously, over the past few seasons, stemming from whether it be, Chase Claypool, whether it be, the Kenny Pickett stuff. I think that a lot of these guys view this as like a fresh start and just a complete annex of any drama. And that's what this team really needed. Not to say that, I mean, they're clearly pretty good at masking the drama in terms of a lot of stuff not getting out until later, or, just a lot of stuff that, a lot of people don't know about. But this seems like a very tight-knit group, and a group that is excited for what the future holds. And again, I think a lot of that is because it's a lot of younger guys. And, I think that, being somebody who is of a lot of their age, I'm 25, so I get like the young dude mentality. It doesn't take a lot for dudes to bond. I could go to a bar right now with like a friend. We run into a couple other dudes, start talking. By the end of the night, we're best friends. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that, you go to practice every day with these guys. You're in the locker room together. You're lifting together. Like, it doesn't take long for you to start to get to know one another. And once you constantly see one another, you're going to get to know each other, and immediately that brings y'all closer together. So it's a younger group. It's a tight-knit group, and I think that is going to serve them very well during the season. And again, they have a really nice balance of, yes, they have a lot of young guys, but they also have a lot of vocal veteran leaders, where Russell Wilson's 35. That's a vet leader. Cam Hayward, 35. That's a good vet leader. Even TJ Watt and Minka, they're in their late 20s, but they've been there for a while and are good veteran leaders. Dante Jackson's new, but he's, going into his 7th year in the league. That's a good vet leader. So at each position group, they have, young talent with a vet leader, and that is cool to have. The only place that they wouldn't quite have a vet leader right now would be receiver. George Pickens is going into his 3rd year. Roman Wilson's a rookie. Van Jefferson's been around for a little bit. Scotty Miller is a veteran, but even then, they're still pretty young. But just about everywhere else on that team, man, is, some collection of young dudes and a veteran who is going to be there to help guide them along. And I think that was purposely done, with, forward thinking in terms of that manner. So it's a tight knit group, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do this season. At this point, we're less than 2 months away from camp, and I'm just excited to get there. We got, again, more OTAs next week, a rookie mini camp in the middle of, or rookie mandatory mini camp in the middle of June. And then they all go their separate ways for about a month and a week. And then the 2024 season really begins. So, I mean, I guess we can kind of unofficially say it's began with all these guys being together. But, once we get to training camp, that's when things really start to ramp up. But hold on, let's do the countdown real quick. Because I keep forgetting. You'll see what I'm doing in a minute. So, okay, so we have 63 days until the NFL Hall of Fame game. So about 2 months until an actual factual football game is played. I'm going to be a degenerate. I'm going to gamble on the Hall of Fame game again. I threw down $10 last year and made 90. So shout out Dorian Thompson-Robinson of the Cleveland Browns for making me money on the Hall of Fame game. You got to be a true sicko to bet on preseason football. That's the only one I bet on, I promise. It's the only one. So I am again 63 days. Once we get to preseason, everything else is a breeze. We got live football of some sort. I don't care if it's mostly backups. You get the dress rehearsal game in the middle. Even then, sometimes some teams don't even play them. But I'm excited, and we're getting very much closer and closer and closer by the day. Days are getting by faster. And again, I keep using this metaphor. Think of how long ago you think the Super Bowl was. Okay, it was almost 4 months ago. Cut that in half. That is how long we have until the Hall of Fame game, and even less than that for training camp. So we're getting closer, and I'm very excited, very, very excited. You can keep your comments coming in. I'll keep pulling them up in the chat. We'll keep the conversation going. But again, if you're just tuning in, half hour into the show, Justin Fields was the story of the day for me. I wrote a column about it at Behind the Steel Curtain. Threw it in my notes as well in terms of day 6 news and notes piece at Behind the Steel Curtain from OTAs. He looked really good today. And he gave me a quick minute of his time. I just asked him, like, hey, how you feeling, on day 6 of OTAs compared to day 1? And he told me, look, I'm getting here. You know what? I'll actually pull up the actual quote just so I don't mince any words and just so I can give you better insight as to what Justin told me. Let me get that pulled up real quick. So in terms of what Justin said to me, he said, each day I'm getting more and more comfortable within the offense. Of course, you have a lot of similar concepts around the league, but just the timing and the feeling with the guys, every day we're all learning, growing, and getting better. So he feels confident in himself. He's feeling more comfortable already. Again, just 6 days into OTAs, each day getting better and better. And today, man, he looked really awesome. So very much looking forward to seeing what Justin Fields continues to do throughout this offseason program. As OTAs go on, as we get to mandatory minicamp, and then once we get to training camp, man, it's going to be something to watch. The Steelers did not get Hard Knocks, by the way. The Chicago Bears did. I know a lot of fans were like, I wonder if the Steelers will get Hard Knocks. They did not. So you won't be able to see my lovely face on HBO lingering in the background as media. Sorry to burst your bubble. But yeah, the Chicago Bears. Oh, Russ, you should be happy. The Bears got Hard Knocks. You should be. I wonder how you feel about that. That'd be a fun team to watch on Hard Knocks. Obviously, Caleb's going to be fun. Roma Dunze, Keenan Allen. That'll be fun. I enjoy that. George, what's your take on the new kickoff rules? I think it's going to be awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hold on. Miles Killebrew was actually asked about this today. I don't want to mince his words either. I didn't write about what Miles Killebrew said. I might do like a quick news thing on it for Behind the Steel Curtain. But he was asked about the new kickoff rule today. He said, I think there's going to be a lot of touchdowns because once you get past that first layer, there's no one else there. So I'm a big fan of it. I think that it makes perfect sense. Where, the league wants to mandate having, a safer game, less like high-speed violent collisions. With the new kickoff, there's not, the high-speed violent collisions, but you can still have big plays. And I think that makes perfect sense. And, kickoffs more or less have been ceremonial in the league over the past decade since they moved the kick from the 30 to the 35. So now you've got guys who can have a better shot at making rosters by making plays on kickoff, whether it be kickoff coverage or blocking for kickoffs. It's going to be a very big net positive for the league, for the players, for fringe roster guys trying to make rosters. If you're a guy fighting for, the 53rd, 52nd spot on the roster, where are you going to try to make the team? On special teams. And if you make a play on kickoff that raises eyebrows, that gives you a better shot of doing it. So I think it's great. I think it's a huge net positive for the league. Dude, you don't want Hard Knocks. I didn't say I wanted Hard Knocks. I didn't want the Steelers to get Hard Knocks. I'm glad that they didn't. I know that some people did. I was not one of them. I'm totally okay with them not having Hard Knocks. Caleb is Zach Wilson 2.0, not happy. Oh, I don't think he's that. I don't think he's bad. I think he'll be good. I like Caleb. I think Drake May is going to be better, but I think Caleb will be good. Yeah, I got no worries. I shouldn't say no worries. Obviously, can he be bad? Sure. I don't think he will be bad. So yeah, he better not be Wilson 2.0. I don't think he will be. And again, everybody's allowed to have their opinion. We'll see what plays out on the field, but it's turning into a bear show. But that's okay. I'll read all your comments. Caleb's going to bust. Jaden Daniels is going to be rookie. See, I feel the complete opposite of that. I have very little faith in Jaden Daniels. He is far too slender for my liking. I've seen a mobile, slender quarterback in Washington before. His name was Robert Griffin III, and I just don't think that's going to go well. Yeah, just the way he plays at his size, he's going to get ragdolled in the NFL. I don't have high hopes for Jaden Daniels. So I think Drake May is going to be the best out of this bunch. I really like Drake May. I think Caleb's going to be number 2. And I think those will be the 2 good quarterbacks from this class. You know, statistically speaking, if you get 2, that's a pretty solid class. I don't think that there's going to be I think Bo Nix is going to stink. Bo Nix, he went to the one place where he can have somewhat success. I think that he'll have he'll have a very similar career arc to Mac Jones, where he might be okay early on, but it's going to become very evident very quick that he's not good. Michael Penix, we'll find out in 2030, I guess. Poor Michael Penix. I don't think he's going to be good though either. Here's the thing. If you were good in college, you wouldn't need 5 years to prove it. You know, that's my take. Bo Nix doesn't do a lot of things well. He can't throw downfield all that well. Michael Penix, I think there will be 2 good quarterbacks from this class, and I think it'll be Drake May and Caleb Williams. And I think I talked about this in a recent episode of the Pump Fake. So again, if you want more content from me, you can just keep scrolling down the back catalog of this channel. It wasn't very long ago that we were talking about it. So I'm, again, if you're not already subscribed to the channel, absolutely do so. Especially if, you're enjoying the Steelers content. If you want more NFL content, again, I do my my national podcast where I talk about the league as a whole. It's called the Pump Fake. You can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts. The Pump Fake with Jarrett Bailey. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in as always. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere yet. Still gonna get to all your comments. Just doing some normal plug stuff. Tom Dessender, have you seen any practice on the new kickoffs at OTA? They did it one day. They didn't do it today. I think they kind of take it they'll do some punt stuff one day, some kickoff stuff another day. Once we get into mandatory minicamp and training camp, they'll obviously do it more. But yeah, they did it one day. And they did some interesting stuff with it. They had, I don't know if it was just because, they were just trying to line up bodies to see what it would look like, not necessarily putting the personnel that they had out there, but I talked to Peyton Wilson about it because he was lined up on the kick coverage unit, and they were doing something where it was almost like a gap run scheme on special teams where they would put, I think it was Braden Fajoko and Keanu Benton, and just have Peyton Wilson follow them. Those two basically block to open up a hole for Peyton Wilson to get through and then tackle the kick returner. I thought that was brilliant. So again, we're going to see some innovative stuff on the new kickoff. It's going to be pretty cool. Jared, did you get to watch Chris and Allen Locked On Steelers? Dan Moore is very confident that he will be starting left tackle. Look, man. No, I have not watched Chris and Allen on Locked On today. If they do that, something's wrong. Sincerely. that would be stupid. There's no reason for it. There's no reason for it whatsoever. And again, if you're Dan Moore, you're a competitor, you're going to go in with the mindset of, I started last year, they're going to have to beat me for my job. So I think a lot of that could just be Dan just, being confident in himself. But there's no reason why Troy Fautanu shouldn't start right away. No reason for it. Now, could the Steelers, quote unquote, make him earn it in training camp? Sure. And I know we had these conversations last year about Broderick Jones, but I'm hoping they learn their lesson. They drafted tackles in consecutive drafts because they know Dan Moore stinks. If they keep throwing him out there, it's just redundant at this point. Stop drafting tackles if you're going to keep fucking playing Dan Moore. It makes no sense. So I would like to think that it's just Dan Moore being confident in himself. I haven't had any conversations with Dan Moore. I haven't seen anything that he said personally. I'm told that he's a really nice dude, and that's awesome, but he's not good. and he's fine to have as a swing tackle for a year, but that it should be Broderick Jones and Troy Fautanu starting tackles. I don't care where you put both of them, but they should be the starting tackles. And if Dan Moore's starting, then why did you draft tackles in back-to-back years? It's just stupid at this point. So, again, I know we had these conversations last year, but they drafted tackles in consecutive years because they know Dan Moore isn't good. So why do they keep doing this? It just makes no sense. If Dan Moore's starting week 1, I'm going to be pissed. Now, in my heart of hearts, I don't think he will be. I think it will be Broderick and Fautanu. But there's a greater than zero chance it'll be Dan Moore because, we saw this play out last year. And if they do it again, it's stupid. Very stupid. But hold on. Shout out to Alan and Chris. They rule. Keep going through these. I heard Vikings were trying to trade Jefferson to draft Malik Neighbors. Look, man. Mike Florio apparently hears a lot of stuff. I'm not going to confirm nor deny what he does and doesn't hear because I don't know. If he heard that, okay. Do I think the Vikings actually were going to do that? No. No, I don't. Because that would be stupid. Way too early, I know, but is there any position group that looks like they could take a step back from last year? I mean, the easy answer is the receivers just because it's a less talented group. So we'll see. But that's probably the easy answer is the receivers. But even then, they don't look terrible. It's a group that features a lot of guys that are fighting for, the 4, 5, and 6 spots. And until they make another move, then, that's going to be the group that's easy to point at. They start Beanie Bishop before starting a first-round tackle. No way they can do that. Look, man, this is a weird team. That's another thing that, we also got to remember this time of year. Myself, I need to remember is that this is Mike Tomlin has been successful throughout his career, man, but the way that he goes about when he starts guys, when he doesn't, I hate it. I hate it so much. None of it makes sense. So it's just what it is, man. It's what it is. Now, again, in my heart of hearts, do I think that Dan Moore will start week 1? I would really like to think not. But if he does, then they got to look themselves in the mirror and be like, well, we traded up to take Broderick Jones in 2023. We drafted Troy Fautanu this year, and yet we're still starting the guy that we drafted them to replace for reasons. There's no other reason. There is no reason. It's just stupid. So I hope that they don't do that. I really, really hope not. What 3 new players would you be excited to see play this year? The 3 new players. Peyton Wilson is definitely at the top of that list. Every time there was an individual drill, like if it's back versus backers or when they do team drill, I'm paying attention to what Peyton Wilson does. I really want him to be great. I really, really want it. New players, Roman Wilson, I want to see how they utilize him. And then obviously the quarterbacks, both Fields and Wilson, depending on how they look in preseason, continuing to watch them through this offseason program. Yeah, those are probably my top 3 with, 3 being 3A and 3B. Florio, never mind. Oh, look, I have no knowledge of, who Florio talks to. I'm not going to pretend that I do. But that makes no sense. That makes negative sense for the Vikings to do that. Just pay your star receiver to pair with your rookie quarterback. It makes less sense because you got a quarterback on a rookie deal so you can take care of Justin Jefferson, and so it was easier to build around. If JJ McCarthy's good, then hey, you got a quarterback on a rookie deal with a superstar receiver and the ability to, get some good players because you got the money to do it. Their first instinct wouldn't be, we're going to get a new quarterback. Let's trade Justin Jefferson. I don't care if it's to bring in Malik Neighbors. Justin Jefferson is better than Malik Neighbors. Even Malik Neighbors could very well be good, but that Justin Jefferson's good. I I don't get where that line would even come from, man. I just don't get it. I really don't. Stein will be a swing tackle this year, but he's not winning a tackle spot this year. I'm going to leave it alone now. We'll see. I think it would be stupid to put Dan Moore out there. Makes no sense. Like, offensive line is one of those things, man, where especially early on, like you look at the hit rate, it's the highest hit rate in the first round because it's the most pro-ready guys in the first round. Offensive line and receivers. Those are the two, and maybe some running back, but they don't go nearly as often in the first round as they used to. Because they're ready, you know? It's not so much like those are the most pro-ready positions, usually year in and year out, of all the guys that go in the first round is tackles, centers, receivers. I don't care if Troy Patano is going to have, a few growing pains when we all know overall he's better than Dan Moore. It's just dumb. It's just a dumb way of thinking. And I don't get it. I really don't. But we'll see how it plays out. We still have, a few months until we see the first preseason game. But again, 63 days till the Hall of Fame game. We're getting there ever so quickly. Now I'm excited to see what happens throughout the rest of the offseason program. I'll be at OTAs one more time next week. And then I'll be at a day of mandatory minicamp. I keep saying rookie minicamp. Mandatory minicamp. I will be at the Wednesday. So they go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'll be there Wednesday. And then, we got a little bit of a break in between. And people are going to be like, oh, man, I wonder if they're going to make a trade for, a month. And that's going to be unbearable. That's going to suck. Like that lull that we have from June to July. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I'm going to be writing about nothing. These guys aren't going to be doing anything. It's going to stink. I don't want it. But could be doing away with OTAs next year and just having a longer training camp, which I'm okay with. Because apparently they would be starting training camp in like late June to like either mid to late June and having it till like mid-July. I'd have to look at the like official like report, but we'll see if that happens. But yeah, that month lull from June to July, that's gonna suck. I don't want it. Rob says, I love Dante Jackson's answers during his interview today at OTAs. He's the best, man. I really much enjoy talking to him. He's gonna be awesome. He's awesome to talk to. I hope he's awesome on the field. In terms of the production as a CB2, bar can't get much lower than what it was last year with Levi Wallace. And honestly, can't get much lower than what Patrick Peterson gave him either, because Patrick Peterson wasn't very good. Patrick Peterson didn't get good until he moved into safety. So, it's just one of those things where if he can be a competent cornerback too, hey, that's good. And then we'll see, how Rush and Trice, Beanie, if they bring back Cam Sutton, how all these guys compete for certain snaps and playing time. Have great Ayuk stories and content to make and write once he's a Steal. Yeah. Again, I love the confidence in that. As soon as the 49ers extended Jawan Jennings, I was like, oh no, here we go. Everybody and their mother, they're going to trade one of these. I really don't think they're going to, guys. If anything, that's just more of an implication that they're going to move one of them next year. Just my thoughts. I think that they'll move off of Debo or Brandon Ayuk next year, but they're going to go balls to the wall this year, have as much receiving talent as they can get. Well, right now they're 4 deep, where they got Ayuk, Debo, Ricky Pearsall, and Jawan Jennings. It's 4 legit guys that you can target. And obviously McCaffrey in the backfield and Kittle. So, you got like 6 legitimate like dudes on offense. No, they're going to really run this thing back one last time. And then next offseason, they're going to start sending some dudes elsewhere. TK Metcalf will hopefully be a Steeler on June 1st. Time will tell. Is there 31 days in May, or is tomorrow June 1st? I honestly don't know. Let me look. Calendar. Yeah, okay, so there's 31 days in May. So June 1st is on Saturday. Right on. Well, we'll find out. We'll find out here literally in a couple days. Can't wait. I will stay on for a couple more minutes. If you guys want to get any more questions, comments in, I'll stay on for about another 5 minutes. What one new free agent you think might make the 53 that would be a surprise? Maybe like a Scotty Miller. I don't know if that would necessarily be a surprise if they keep, especially if they keep 6 receivers, because I think that they would go Pickens, Roman, Calvin Austin, if they bring in a new receiver via trade. And then it comes down to, okay, is it going to be Van Jefferson, Scotty Miller, Quez Watkins? Those are going to be the guys, kind of Marquez Callaway you can throw in there too. So if they keep 6 receivers, I think Scotty Miller should make it. Just my guess. The Justin Jefferson to Steelers rumors. It wasn't even rumors, man. It was pipe dreams. Like it was, and by the way, like I could appreciate good content, and like people were doing like jersey swaps of it, and it was good work. But anybody who thought that that was realistic, come on now. That was never going to happen. And like I said, I understand that we're in the the midst of May, and we're just trying to get through the offseason. That's fine. I get it. But that one was never going to happen. That one was never going to happen. As fun as it would be, that one wasn't going to happen. My early guess is like, especially if they trade for like Treylon Burks, they take receiver in the first round next year. If they trade for Cortland Sutton, you might not have to take one in the first round. You still could. But even then, like you'd have Pickens, Sutton, and Wilson. You wouldn't have to take a receiver in the first round. So that would be best case scenario is, you don't have to take one next year. But even if like you do have to take one, okay, cool. You get a first round receiver, sure things up. If receiver is your biggest need, then you're probably doing something. If receiver is the Steelers' biggest need in 2025, they did something right. That means that one of the quarterbacks panned out. So that's kind of like that's probably what you're kind of hoping for as a Steelers fan. Is like, okay, hopefully they want to go receiver first round and not quarterback. Looks like Omar fleeced the Panthers with the Deontay Johnson trade. No, I mean, I think like I said, I was one of the people who was very okay with the Deontay Johnson trade. You weren't gonna extend him. You got a starting cornerback in return for him. Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with the trade. I think that's equal value for both sides, where the Panthers get a legitimate separator and good route runner for Bryce Young, opposite of Xavier Legette as well. So he gets 2 new, much improved number 1 and number 2 receivers and a Dave Canales offense. I think that it was a really good trade for both sides. Where again, the Steelers weren't going to extend Deontay Johnson, so they got a player for him. Cool. Fine by me. Miles Killebrew thinks kickoffs return for touchdowns will be up this year. Yeah, he did talk about that today. I'm excited to see what the new kickoff rules bring. Yeah, I think it's an overall plus for the league, especially for guys who are, fringe roster guys, bubble roster guys trying to make a roster. How do you usually do that? Hey, special teams. And over the last decade or so, since 15 years, however long ago it was when they moved the kickoff, it's been largely ceremonial. Now you're going to have guys who have more of an opportunity to prove themselves on special teams. So that's overall very good for the league. Very good for the league. Still feel like we should have gotten more from the Deontay Johnson trade. Look, man, that's what the market is now. He's not as good as an AJ Brown to garner a first and a third round pick, like he did a few years ago during the draft. That's just what it is. He's not as good as Tyreek Hill to get a giant haul of picks in return. And once guys like Jerry Jeudy got traded for a pair of day 3 picks, like that was kind of like, oh, okay, like Jerry Jeudy's not a bad receiver. He's not a great receiver, but he's an above average receiver. And once he only went for that, that kind of set the tone for the rest of the receiver market. So, again, Deontay Johnson, good player. They got a player and a draft pick in return. That's fine value. Fine value. So, again, I was one of the very few people who wasn't upset about the Deontay Johnson trade. I feel like a lot of people were like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, whatever. Whatever. Didn't bother me. But I wish him well. I like Deontay. I hope he does well in Carolina, but I'm not too worried about it. And like I said, I think we'll do, I talked last night about doing like my favorite Steelers ever show. I think we'll do that during like the July lull. We can do it between OTAs and minicamp. So like after the last OTA session and before training camp or before mandatory minicamp, or we can wait till after minicamp and do it in the month between minicamp and training camp. I'm going to actually try to make this like a collaborative project, not just me talking about it. Like I'm going to see if Nick Farball wants to do it with me. I'll see if Kevin Adams from the Steel Here podcast for Barstool wants to hop on and do it. I think he will. Him and I did like a Steelers draft last year, and that was pretty fun. So I think if I give him enough of a heads up, he'll be into it. Zach Smith, I think that he'll absolutely do it. I think that Derek will do it. So if I can get like 5 or 6 dudes to do it with, I think that would be pretty fun. Especially if we can do like if we do like a giant draft of rosters, that could be something fun to do. I'll figure out something collaborative, maybe multiple collaborative things to do in the in the coming months. I think that would be pretty fun. Jalen Waddle, $29 million. George Pickens is not getting more than Jalen Waddle. I'll say that right now. Because Jalen Waddle is better than George Pickens. Live in Carolina, and I'm telling everyone that he's a good receiver. Great. Yeah, he is. He's a good receiver. Should I stay away from Muth and fantasy considering how much Arthur Smith hated Kyle Pitts? No. If anything, you should get more Pat Freiermuth Keaton. I think there'll be a nice amount of Pat Freiermuth targets. Hell, I'm not too much of a fantasy guy, but every fantasy person I see is saying, get Darnell Washington. Get Darnell Washington if you can. Maybe like very, very late. You could probably just pick him up after your fantasy draft. Maybe get Darnell Washington. Steelers also had to rush the Deontay Johnson trade because he had a bonus due that would become guaranteed. Yeah. And again, I think it was a fine trade. Steelers got a starting cornerback and a 6th-round pick that they used on either Logan Lee or Ryan Watts. Cool. Fine by me. Bryce Young is lucky to get such a quarterback-friendly receiver. He's always open. He is always open. Now, if Bryce Young is able to hit Deontay Johnson in the hands, unlike Deontay Johnson's previous quarterback, then yeah, I think Deontay Johnson should have a nice year. Wide receiver 1A, DK Metcalf, 1B, George Pickens, slot Roman Wilson. Hey man, you seem pretty convinced it'll be DK. We'll find out. We'll find out in due time. I'm not like totally convinced. I think it's a greater than 0 chance, but I still think that a Cortland Sutton or Treylon Burks is probably the more realistic option here. One of them will have to switch numbers. I guess DK will have to switch numbers. I'm trying to think of all the numbers that are available right now. Calvin Austin has 19. Anthony Averett has 18. Marquez Callaway has 17. Somebody's gonna have to double up. They like throughout like training camp and preseason stuff, they'll double up on numbers where they have like an offense similar to college. They'll have an offensive guy and a defensive guy who can wear it. So maybe he wears 18 if he comes. There you go. You can play that game. What number will DK Metcalf wear if he becomes a Steeler? Steelers overdid the O-line this year. Could have got A.D. Mitchell round 2 and Frazier in the third. Zach Frazier wouldn't have been sitting there in the third. At least I don't think. Like that, he's a talented guy. Well, look, man, we'll find out. Um, I appreciated the effort and just really making sure that the offensive line was better because it's been so bad. Now, obviously, when you bring in Isaac Small and James Daniels over the past couple of years, that's going to help a lot of things. But the tackles were still a problem, or the left tackle at least. Chooks wasn't an issue in terms of playing. Like he wasn't perfect, but he was fine. He was, he got benched because he, I don't know how you want to word that, sounded off against how things were going offensively, and so they benched him for it. And I think it's very good. I think he's going to do really well in New England. I talked to my friend Taylor Kyles of Patriots Daily over on his YouTube channel, and he asked me about Chooks, and I pretty much just said that. I'm like, yeah, he was pretty much exiled from Pittsburgh, and I think he's going to do really well. Would you trade Pickens in a first for Jay Jettas or who's Bo? Am I missing? Why? Probably. Like if they're gonna take a receiver anyway, then yeah. If that's all it took to get Justin Jefferson, then sure. You'd still have an issue at number 2 receiver, but you'd have a much better number 1. Again, I like Pickens, but Justin Jefferson is unquestionably better than George Pickens by a comfortable margin. Let's separate fandom from true talent. I like George Pickens, but Justin Jefferson is much better. Pickens is untradeable. Not if you're getting Justin Jefferson in return. He isn't. I don't know. He's not. So, then again, would that happen? No. But in this hypothetical trade, would I trade a first-round pick and George Pickens for Justin Jefferson? Yes. Yes, I would. Again, I like George Pickens, but Justin Jefferson's much better. All right, I'm going to end it with that. I said I was going to stay on for 5 more minutes. I stayed on for 10. Again, the biggest takeaway for me today, if you joined a little bit late, Justin Fields looked awesome. Made a lot of throws, made a few off-platform throws, made one really awesome play where he was fading back, avoiding getting touched by any defenders to mark him down. That's kind of where they would still like go through the process of the play, but that would be like a sack. He didn't get touched by anybody, and then he ran forward like 10, 15 yards and threw like a jump pass to Darnell Washington for a touchdown. It was awesome. Everybody on the offensive sideline was going nuts during it. He made a off-platform like sidearm throw to Marquez Callaway in the front corner of the end zone that hit him directly in the chest. He just looked really good all day, and that is what you want to see from Justin Fields, especially when we're only still in OTAs. If this carries on into minicamp and carries on into training camp, we have a legitimate competition on our hands. And as a Steelers fan, that music to my ears. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens, what all this brings between Russell Wilson and Justin Fields as this continues to go. Very excited to keep see how these quarterbacks progress. Hold on, I see a few more came in. I'll answer them. Hold on. That hell no, he's not. Yeah. Like respectfully speaking, what's it going to be like when Cam is in the one up against Zach Frazier? I mean, we'll find out. I mean, they're not gonna like hurt Zach Frazier, but like, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be once they're in full pads and everything, going full speed. Well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll find out when all the pads are on and all these guys are there for mandatory minicamp and for training camp. I'm excited for it. If you're not already subscribed, please do so. To get the Daily Steelers Show Monday through Friday, Black and Gold Breakdown every evening throughout the rest of the offseason. And then the Pump Fake, my national pod that I do usually once a week, sometimes twice throughout the offseason. It's been about once throughout the offseason. I'm going division by division with a different expert from the division. Just did the NFC North show with my friend Ben Raven, who covers the Detroit Lions for MLive. Did the NFC East with Jess Navarez from DallasCowboys.com. Did the AFC East with my friend Taylor Kyles from Patriots Daily. So the AFC North is next. I'm going to reach out to my good buddy Kevin Ostreicher from the Locked On Ravens podcast to do the AFC North preview show with me. So that'll be this coming week, actually. So you kind of get a 2-for-1 Steelers day whenever we do the AFC North preview. So that'll be, again, haven't asked Kevin yet, but anytime I ask him, he usually says yes. So I'm going to pencil in Kevin Ostreicher to be the guest who does the AFC North preview show with me. If it's not him, it'll be somebody else. So yeah, that'll be on the Pump Fake. You can listen to that wherever you get your podcasts, or you can watch it here on this channel. And make sure you're subscribed for all the Steelers content, all the NFL content. Tell your friends to subscribe, especially if they're Steelers fans and you want to give them great content. Absolutely. Subscribe, like the videos, comment on them if you choose. I was told that I should try going through like the comments more and interacting. I'll start doing that. If I miss you live show, but you leave a comment on the video itself, I'll start going through the comments and lurking and leaving some comments. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Do all that YouTube stuff, like it, subscribe. Getting closer to 1,000 subs. I think we're 73 away from 1,000, so that'll be very fun when I reach that. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. Be back tomorrow to wrap up the week to talk more Steelers. So I will see you all then. Take care.